I'm a sound discipline facilitator, and I'm here tonight with Meredith Osborne, who is one of the parents that attends our parenting support network. And so she's here to just share some insights with you all on what she's tried, what she's learning, and why she appreciates the parenting support network, and hopes that you might find something that resonates with you. So hi, Meredith, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm fabulous, just enjoying my day in my home, like every day.
I know, right?
It's like, what do you say to that, right?
But we still say it, right?
Yeah, we still say it. Absolutely, absolutely. So, if Meredith, you could just briefly introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and how you came to find the Parent Support Network.
I am a counseling specialist in the Issaquah School District, and so I work to support elementary school counselors in 15 different schools. And part of my job is finding resources for the school community for elementary counselors to share with their school communities. And so I came across this parent network, and I have gone to previous trainings and really been impressed. And so I thought, well, I'll give it a try because I don't want to recommend it unless, I kind of know what's going on. And I'm also a parent. So the first topic was sibling conflict. And I have to say that since this whole pandemic started, the sibling conflict has gotten worse, which I didn't even think was possible because my kids are very good at getting each other upset. So I have a 6-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. And so that's why I started to attend, but I just found it really helpful. So I continue to try to spread it. So I agreed to do this.
So what are you appreciating about the network of parents and positive discipline practitioners that you've been to the last two? So what are you appreciating about this community that's forging?
I just think it's a really tough time. I would imagine for most people, with my background, I have lots of tools in my tool belt, but just dealing with my own feelings about what's going on, trying to play a bunch of different roles and to support my kids and all the feelings they're having has been really challenging. And so, having a moment where I get to sit down with peers and talk about what's tough and, get some great wisdom. And a lot of it is like refresher for me, but we all need that because there's so much to remember. And so if we can just take one or two each meeting to try that week, it, gives me hope that things might be a little bit less chaotic that week with my kids. And also, I mean, what other opportunity do you have to have, 5 or more parent educators in a meeting? So you have a question and you just get these really awesome answers. The fact that that's free, I'm going to make time to go. So
right on. Well, we're glad that you have been attending and have found some benefit in that. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So the first conversation that you participated, and mind you, Parent Support Network has only been going on for 2 weeks. We're having our third one tomorrow, Thursday, 7 o'clock to 8:30. And that one's going to be on kindness and firmness at the same time. So that was going to be a really, really, really powerful one. But the last two have been equally powerful. The first one was around sibling relationships and conflict. And so what were some things that either some reminders for you or some new things that you took away from that conversation?
I think just really trying to remain neutral when dealing with conflicts between the two siblings, because I think it's just natural to feel like you should protect the younger one, but then it kind of puts these unfair roles that they play out. So it's almost like I'm, encouraging my older one to act out. And so I think I've just been, when there's an issue, I just say, hey, it looks like our lids are starting to flip, and why don't we both just take some space, go to a different room, your choice that we've decided on earlier. This was something that was recommended in the training, and that's been really helpful. Not to side with one over the other, which I think is because you maybe naturally connect with one more so than the other, and so that's been helpful. And then I would also say the fighting over objects, and I don't know what, maybe just because we only have like our little small space and the things that are, so we're a little bit more wanting of our things. And so just kind of like putting that thing in timeout, they kind of realize, hey, if I want to play with this thing, I need to, share or take turns with it. So, and not fight about it.
Yeah. And at the center of that, and at the center of that might be also the need to control something, right?
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
I can't control anything right now. Well, most things as a 6-year-old, 8-year-old in their minds, right? So there's probably some of that in there. And you actually had talked to me about like, not addressing the aggressor. Like usually there's one person that's like the aggressor. So can you say more about that?
Oh, I think since my son was born, my daughter has been the aggressor. I mean, I think like week 1, she threw Mrs. Potato Head at his head. She was really happy just being an only. And that was like the reason I just needed her to have someone else, because she really craves attention. And so I think came along, she was like, all right, I'm gonna flip a switch and I'm gonna go for negative attention, because more bang for your buck. And that's like another thing we talked about is just the power of negative attention. And so yeah, I just have kind of tried to flip. And I think even just, it seems like the themes, they kind of overlap and dovetail. So like the next week I attended the one on gratitude and appreciation. And we got into like a conversation about connecting, because I think probably because a question came up. And so that's the thing. It's like you have a topic that you discuss, but like if you're having a tough time with something that week, in the last half hour, you have a moment to like just ask those questions, get really great advice. Somebody was really struggling to connect with their tween. And so some really great examples of, write a little message, a journal message, and stick it under their pillow. And, maybe eventually they'll start writing you back. And I just thought that was like so touching and not something I would think totally try with my daughter. But just that connection piece, I connect really well with my son. And I think that's why he's doing better at home. The one that always struggled at school, because he is kind of a sensory avoider. He has some kind of like behavioral challenges related to ADHD and some of his sensory issues. And school has always been very difficult. So aside from like transitions, which he typically struggles with, since we have that connection, I can kind of get him through it. But my daughter and I have always struggled with that. And she is great at school. Like school is her jam. So I think it's really emotionally challenging for her. So last week's really helped me to connect with her. And it's like, I feel like we only need like a signal now where I just kind of like touch my heart, like my chest. And she's like straight with me, because we've been dealing with a lot of dishonesty. Not really her thing. She's kind of like a rule follower, but I think it's that control thing that we were talking about, where I just finally, because I can have like more advanced conversations with her. She's got a really good vocab. Just finally said, hey, I think the reason we're having a hard time is because we both cope by trying to control things. And can you see how that can be a problem if we're both trying to control? And so, but she had such a like smart response. She's like, but how am I supposed to know when you're just being a parent and when you're controlling the situation? And it just made me realize, oh my gosh, I really need to step it up. I have like more on in my brain right now to like help me navigate this. And, I need to kind of step it up and have those deeper conversations, those like really real conversations with her. So.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, as adults, we shy away from those those deeper conversations, because it requires a certain level of vulnerability from the parent, the caregiver, the adult. And it's okay. You're really modeling for us how it's okay to actually be in that space, because it's going to be reflected back to you most times. So
yeah, I think that's the best thing I did with her, is just to be honest with her. Like, I don't know why I didn't think to do that before. I mean, that's what I think is great about this group, is that it just makes you you have some aha moments that you can try. And I mean, thing that we did from the last group is they talked to us about a compliment circle. It's essentially something they do in the sound discipline schools, I guess. We tried that with our kids, because we've kind of told them we're doing this kind of parenting group and we're going to try some new things with them. And so we did
okay.
And I think it was like the most powerful thing was for my daughter, who is totally an attention seeker, to now know how to ask for a compliment. I just think that's a great way for her to get positive attention. So that was really a huge takeaway. And I didn't think it would be, but that's been kind of.
And it's also teaching her to have voice, to really ask and request for what she wants, and that it's okay to do that.
Exactly. So is to do some of those like nudges or like the passive aggressive comments. So just to give her a tool to ask for what she really wants. I mean, I do a lot of, you don't need affirmations from other people. Like, you can affirm yourself, but just for her to like have the words to ask for a compliment has been really helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that's a powerful form of connection. All right. Now, when you did you have any things that you were noticing from the sibling relationships and conflict conversation, the takeaways that you implemented, and what have you noticed in that?
I think it just has like diffused some of the bigger conflicts that were happening. I would say that in our house normally, but definitely right now, emotional regulation is just an issue in general. There's a lot of sensory issues in the house, and especially when you're stuck in the house. So just having ways to just not get involved, but to provide support has really made a difference. And, having them go to their spaces, a lot of times they get into like kind of doing things on their own. And then when they come back, I think they've had that space from each other. And so they're kind of like excited to come back together. So I think it's helped their relationship a little bit. And there's not as much competition. Like, it took some of that competition out of it. Not like they're not still trying to compete, but
they're still 6 and 8.
I'm not putting as much attention on it. And so, a big motivator. So
wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And anything that you would want to say to the parents who are tuning in, if you had a message for them, what would that message be?
I think that there's so many messages that parents are getting right now, from schools and from social media. And I think some of them really kind of cause more anxiety. And I would say that right now, like, we're in this time that we've never really had before. And in order to be the best person for everyone around us, just to like give yourself some grace. The other I had meeting after meeting, and it wasn't supposed to be like that. And so, watch more TV than they would normally watch. And I listened to a webinar as I was cooking their meal. And I fought that urge to feel guilty about it, because we're just we're doing the best we can. And so, I just thought to myself, okay, well, I worked so much today, I'm just gonna I'll find ways to make it up to them tomorrow. Of course, they were like, this was the best day ever. We watched movies, So So I think we're in like an emergency situation.
Oh
We're
my
not trying to
goodness.
like recreate school at home. And I think that's just a good reminder. Like you don't need to recreate what was
Right
going on
on.
like your kids are super resilient. And I think what they need right now is just like your love and understanding for like a lot of their regressive behaviors. Because I mean, I think if there is one thing that I've like pulled out of this as like an overall message is just that like there is going to be an escalation in behaviors. Like if we think of ourselves, like we're not who we normally are either, and we have all kinds of
Right.
mechanisms to deal with that. And how many do they have? And their brain isn't fully developed like ours, and
Right.
really like seeing that behavior and trying to kind of step back. And it's hard. It's hard in the moment. Like I'm not saying that I don't ever yell because I get overwhelmed too, but like
Right.
stepping back in the moment and trying to like see what's under that umbrella, like
Mhm.
I think it's sadness. It's a lot of the same feelings we're having. And so like connecting on that's what they need. They need to know that it's okay, the feelings
Mhm.
and give
Right.
yourself grace. Like, and we're all in it together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to the degree that parents can give themselves grace is to the degree that they can give grace to their kids, right? So,
Yeah.
everybody, I really feel that everybody is, like you said, doing the best that we can with the situation at hand and the resources we have. And so, but there's this amazing resource called the Parent Support Network. And if you avail yourselves of it, it might prove suitable to each of you that are watching from home. And Meredith, we just really appreciate your presence on the Parent Support Network and also you taking time out of your day. And you must feel really passionate about it if you're going to give me 17, 18 minutes of your time to let other parents know what a benefit this community is that we're creating at Sound Discipline with the parents that are coming through. So hats off
It's
to you.
really a great resource. And
Awesome.
I want to see more people there, like I think like the experience is great. And I love the ability to, answer my questions, have my questions answered because, there's, not as many people, but like to have more people and then we could have just this amazing chat going on. And they do breakout rooms where you can kind of meet as a group and discuss. Like it's just, it's worth the time, And so I have my mom, she gets on Zoom and reads to the kids while we're on the meeting so that my husband and I can go. But I think you could also one of you could go and share with the other and you could swap each week. And, if you're on your own, we're really, we like to see little faces that pop in and out, I think parents, so even if you can come for a moment, I
Right.
just encourage you to.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully at 7:00 and that's going to be about connection. So kindness and firmness at the same time. We also call it connection and firmness. And so this kind of builds on some of the things that we talked about in the first couple of weeks. And so hopefully everyone who's watching, you'll be able to register. The link is in the comments and you can go register through Eventbrite. It's free and it's from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's not recorded, unfortunately. So we really wanted to respect the privacy of the parents. So if you could come for a little bit, we would love to have you there. And Meredith, just have a wonderful evening and we appreciate you and thank you for coming on.
Definitely. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.